Alright, guys. I don't know if any of you on this channel have noticed, but my recent videos have been a little, sporadic. They've been a little off-focus, off-centered. They're not really, how would you say, um, well thought out. And it's because my brain has been trying to grasp at something that's been bothering me. And I think I finally figured out what it is. I think I finally figured out what has been gnawing at my psyche. And it's this long march of progressivism. It's this long march of a social deconstruction that we're heading to. And it's combined with, I don't know if this is a sense of, I don't know if it's white supremacy. I don't know if it's simply acknowledging history for what it is. But let me put it this way. Progressivism and this long march through this Marxist march through the complete deconstruction of Western civilization and culture. If this had been done anywhere else, if this had been done in France, which it's been successfully done in France, if it was successfully done in Germany or Italy, it would turn out the way the Marxists and the progressives planned. That would be a viable working strategy, and for all intents and purposes, it sincerely seems to be working out for them. But this is America. And I'm not saying that to be conceited or hyper-nationalistic. What I'm trying to say is the progressive march has had to go from class to race, and then from race to, every other intersectional division you can think of. And here's the problem with that. When you trade class for race in a place like the United States of America, what you're essentially doing is you are lumping in whites as one monolithic group. And you're essentially saying that whites are this Ubermensch, this boogeyman. And the problem / success with that message is it's kind of right. It's sort of true. Back when the African tribes were fighting and enslaving one another and stabbing each other with spears in the back for scraps of whatever jungle food happened to fall on the floor, and while the Latin communities, the land of Azteca, were sacrificing people from the tops of step pyramids, during all that time, what progressives now call the white race, the big boogeyman, conquered the world. The French had their part, the British had a large part, the Germans did their thing, the Vikings wreaked havoc wherever they went, and Italy are the descendants of the aforementioned world power of the Roman Empire. And this monolithic group did all of that crazy shit while divided. They were completely separate entities at that time. And they conquered the known world. And so here we are, in a time when progressive Marxism has decided we're going to unite all of these other groups, the blacks, the Hispanics, the Latinos, and here's the real frustrating thing. Here's the really, really frustrating thing about the Latinx crowd is realizing that Mexico is nothing but a land of knocked up natives. I'm serious. Look at their culture, look at their land, look at their art, look at their architecture. There is far more influence from España than there is from Azteca. Let me just get that out of the way. And so, but don't tell them that. That'll just piss them off. Anyways, so now the push. So now that they've done the genius tactic of taking all of these people who have conquered the world and done all of the monstrous, combative, warlike tendencies that they had. Now, mind you, while this collective group, while this white group of people were conquering the world, they had civilized themselves at the same time. So all of the early warlike tendencies that, Africa was still dealing with and still dealing with, and all of the less than civilized methods of the Native Americans that Columbus found, we'd already progressed past both of those points. We had already constructed a society and a culture in which most of our barbaric, warlike tendencies were still already beginning to be tempered down. So here's where we are. We're at a point where progressive Marxism has accomplished the genius tactic of lumping all of these crazy Ubermensch all in one category. Whether by land, by mass, by culture, or by sheer internet connection, we are now subjugated culturally as one group. All right? They didn't divide us by other ethnicity. They didn't divide us by German, by nationality, by any other thing. They chose skin color. Take this group and then say, we're now going to deconstruct society and redefine it to the point where you don't know your head from your ass. Okay. What do you think happens? Now, as I said before, if this were done anywhere else, Germany, Italy, France, it's worked. They've successfully subjugated the nation by doing so. I don't think that in a society like America's, you can deconstruct our culture, our history, and our society to that degree and assume that Marxism will naturally fill the void. I don't think that's going to happen. I think what we're going to get afterwards is a godforsaken mess. We're going to be balkanized by the block, people. It's going to be bloody, it's going to be harsh, and no. You do not want to see what happens at the end of this, because at the end of this is the hegemon trying to take on the former world conquerors en masse at once. I don't see this ending well for either side. I don't see a clear-cut victory for either side either, if that's any consolation. That this is going to get ugly, it's going to get nasty. But what boggles me is the conceit of the strategy. Who thought this shit would work? Who thought any of this was a good idea? The only kind of person who does this is a sadist, because if the desire, the need, the drive, the motivation to actually want to take any culture and flay it layer by layer as the blood's dripping from the blade and from the flesh is just sadistic, no matter who does it to whom. But to actually do it to the one thing that could easily rise up and kill you has got balls. That's got balls. And it's gonna get ugly. It's just gonna get ugly. And I was thinking about it, and I was sitting here going, do they realize that when they deconstruct the culture and society, which they have defined as white culture, do they realize that if what they say is true about these conquerors and these conquistadors and these colonizers, just these rapists of the land and the people, these pillagers, to use the Viking phrase, if all of that is true, and you want to peel away their society and the things that they've imposed on themselves to keep them civilized and happy, what does doing that benefit anyone? I do not understand it. It boggles my mind. Well, I guess the point here is look out for your own. Love your family, love your dog, love your children, and make sure you have enough for what is coming ahead. And look into homesteading, because, by the way, this supply line bullshit is going to get worse. Look at the writing on the wall and plan accordingly, because I don't know about you, me and my family, we're building a garden. I have to get that up. I have to get that rolling. As always, guys, stay carnal and God bless.